Have you ever caught your reflection in a mirror and felt a shock, wondering when your eyes started looking so tired, so angry, or so empty, even though nothing dramatic seemed to happen overnight? Have you ever looked at someone's face and felt, without knowing why, that they were carrying a mountain of unspoken pain, that their wrinkles and expression were telling stories their mouth never said out loud? Welcome back to the channel, my friend. I am really glad you are here with me again. Today, we are going to walk into a topic that many people are secretly fascinated by, but also a little afraid of. Can our faces really show our karma, our emotional history, and even the level of our spiritual practice? Can you tell if someone is a genuine practitioner just by looking? And if so, what exactly are you seeing? Behind those questions is something deeper. The real issue is not how to scan other people like a psychic scanner. The real issue is how much of your own life is already written on your face. How much of your anger, your grief, your kindness, your generosity, your guilt, and your effort to awaken has quietly carved itself into your features over the years? And more importantly, if the patterns on your face are not what you want to see, can you change them by changing your heart? The main ideas we are going to explore today are simple but powerful. First, a face is not just skin, muscle, and bone. It is an ongoing sculpture, shaped day after day by the way you think, feel, and respond to life. Second, what people call looking like a practitioner has much less to do with clothes, labels, or spiritual identity, and much more to do with the quality of presence shining through the eyes and the softness or stiffness around the mouth and brow. Third, real healing, even from physical illness, is deeply connected to this inner work. Medicine and surgery matter, but if the emotional and karmic roots are never touched, the suffering often returns in a new form. We will walk through these ideas slowly, through story. I am going to tell you about a woman whose entire face and destiny changed when she stopped only treating her body and finally turned around to face her own heart. We will talk about what it really means when ancient wisdom says that appearance follows the mind, and how modern psychology and medicine quietly agree more than you might think. We will also talk honestly about the limits of face reading, the dangers of superstition, and why the wisest use of this knowledge is not to judge others, but to listen to your own face like a truthful friend. So, if you feel ready, take a slow breath, feel your own facial muscles for a moment, your forehead, your jaw, the corners of your eyes. They are not as neutral as you think. They are carrying your story. Let us begin. Imagine a woman in her early 40s. We can call her Anna. If you passed her on the street, you might not look twice. She looks like many city women: neat clothes, a simple handbag, hair tied back, a hint of makeup to covered arc circles. Not exactly radiant, not exactly broken, just okay. Not if you stood close to her in an elevator and dared to really look, you might notice something more. The lines between her brows are deeper than her age suggests, like two small parentheses of worry. The corners of her mouth are pulled slightly downward, as if her face is used to holding back words. Her eyes, especially when she is not smiling at anyone, look like they have watched many arguments, unswallowed many tears. Her colleagues think of her as reliable but a bit serious. Her friends say she is the strong one. Few people know that inside, she feels like she has been holding her breath for more than 20 years. From her 20s to her 40s, she walked through to marriages. Each began with the belief that this time, it would be forever. Each ended with the slow sinking realization that she could not carry the entire relationship on her own shoulders. In her first marriage, she played the role of the understanding woman. She adjusted her hobbies, her schedule, even her opinions to keep the peace. She learned her partner's moods like weather patterns, always checking the emotional forecast before speaking. She was polite to her in minus laws, even when they weren't kind, telling herself, "It is my duty to be a good daughter minus in minus law." Whenever she felt hurt, she pressed it down. "Do not make trouble," she would whisper to herself. "It is not that serious. Maybe you are too sensitive." On the outside, she was praised for being mature. On the inside, it was like placing a small stone on her chest every day. 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. The pile grew. Her face learned to smile lightly while her eyes silently guarded the fragile place inside. Eventually, the distance in that marriage became too large. There were too many conversations that never happened, too many nights spent lying side by side like strangers. The marriage ended, not in a dramatic explosion, but in a quiet signing of papers and a thick silence afterward. She told herself, "It is okay. I will start over. I am strong." Then came the second marriage. This time she promised herself she would not over-give. She thought she had learned, but deep patterns are not so easy to rewrite. At first, everything seemed bright. Her new partner was more expressive, more affectionate. She felt seen, but slowly, old habits slipped back. She began again to make herself smaller to avoid conflict. When her partner was angry, she did everything possible to fix it, even when it was not her fault. Whenever she felt violated or neglected, the sentence in her chest was, "Just bear it. At least this is better than before." Years passed like this. On the outside, another normal marriage. On the inside, a second, slow erosion. By the time this second marriage also collapsed, something in her face had changed permanently. Her brow furrow was not just temporary expression. It had become a groove. The area around her chest and shoulders felt constantly tight. She often found herself touching the upper part of her chest, as if checking whether some invisible weight was still there. After the divorce, she told herself, "I do not care anymore." She threw herself into work. She rarely cried. She became the kind of woman people describe as strong but cold. Then, one morning, while taking a shower, she felt something under her fingers, a small, hard lump in her breast. At first she thought, maybe I imagined it, but the next day it was still there. Her mind raced. She made an appointment in the hospital, dressed in a thin gown under harsh lights. She lay on a bed while the machine slid across her chest. The doctor's face was neutral as he read the screen. "Too neutral," he said. "The imaging is unclear. We need further tests." Words like biopsy and possibly malignant started floating around her. She nodded mechanically, as if listening to a presentation in a meeting. But inside, she felt something collapse that had been holding together out of sheer stubbornness. She went home with a stack of forms and a head full of buzzing. For the first time in many years, she could not hold back her tears. Alone in her apartment, she looked in the bathroom mirror and almost did not recognize herself. "When did I become this person?" she whispered. Her eyes looked older than 40. There was a strange mix of fear, anger, and emptiness in them, like someone who had been walking in armor for years and suddenly discovered a crack in the metal right over the heart. Those next days were some of the longest of her life. Waiting for test results is its own kind of torture. There is no battle to fight yet, only scenarios to imagine. Her mind, trained to worry quietly for decades, now had the perfect target. At one point, overwhelmed by fear and confusion, she found herself sitting in a corner of the hospital hallway, staring at the white wall. She was not praying exactly, but she was speaking inwardly to something. Anything. If I really have to face this disease, she thought, then at least let there be someone who can tell me what to do. I cannot carry this alone anymore. Sometimes, when the heart reaches that naked place, life arranges a meeting. On the day she went in to consult about the possibility of surgery, the waiting area was strangely quiet. She sat there, fingers twisting the edge of a document, trying not to cry in front of strangers. An older man sat a few seats away. His clothes were ordinary, almost shabby, a faded shirt, worn minus out pants, simple shoes. He did not carry any obvious signs of being a priest, a doctor, or a specialist of any kind. To anyone else, he might have looked like someone's uncle waiting for his turn. At some point, their eyes met briefly. For reasons she could not explain, she felt that his gaze did not slide over her like everyone else's. It met her, paused, and then looked away gently, as if saying, I see you, but I will not intrude. Later, when their names were called into the same consultation group for a general pre-surgery talk, they ended up sitting next to each other at the end of the session. While others shuffled their papers and hurried away, he turned to her and said, in a plain, calm voice, "You look very tired." Normally, she would have responded with a polite, "I am fine." But in that moment, something broke. "I am," she said. To her own surprise, her eyes filled with tears. "It has been years." He nodded, as if he had been expecting that answer. He did not ask for details. Instead, he looked at her face carefully, not staring rudely, but with the attentive gaze of someone reading a familiar language. "Your brow has been tight for a long time," he said softly. "Your jaw too. Your eyes look like they have cried a lot even when they are dry." She felt exposed, but not in a shameful way, more like someone had finally described what she had been ignoring. He said, "How many years have you been swallowing words you wanted to say?" The question pierced her. No one in the hospital had asked about her marriage, her emotional life, her history. They had asked about diet, exercise, family medical background. But this man, whose role she did not even know, went straight to the invisible part. "More than I can count," she whispered. He nodded again. "The body is not separate from that," he said. "Especially this part of the body." His eyes flicked kindly toward her chest without any hint of impropriety. When a person carries too much unshed grief or unspoken anger here, the energy stops moving. Over time, it can become stone. "Stone," she repeated. The word felt eerily accurate. That was exactly how the lump had felt under her fingers, not just tissue, but a little stone of everything she had never said. He continued, "This hospital can help you see what is happening physically. Doctors can cut, burn, or poison if needed, and sometimes that is necessary. But I want you to know something. Whatever treatment you choose, the deeper healing will not come only from machines and medicine. It will come from whether you are willing to finally turn around and see what your own heart has been doing to your body for years." She looked at him, half skeptical, half desperate. "And how do I do that?" she asked. He smiled, the kind of smile that goes all the way to the eyes. "First," he said, "you stop pretending that you are made of stone yourself. You admit that you are hurt, that you are angry, that you are afraid. You do not run from the mirror when it shows you a tired, scared face. You stay and look. He paused, then added, "Second, you start telling the truth. Maybe not to the people who hurt you right away. Maybe first on paper. Maybe first to yourself. But you stop packing boxes of resentment and pushing them into the basement of your body. You start opening them, one by one." She thought of all the nights she lay awake, replaying old fights, composing speeches she never gave, imagining alternative lives she never chose. She thought of how often she had clenched her teeth and said, "It is nothing," when inside it was everything. "Will that really change anything?" she asked. "He did not promise miracles. I have seen," he said quietly. "Faces change when hearts change. I have seen lines soften, eyes brighten, even pain lessen, when a person stops fighting reality and starts working with it. I have also seen people get surgery after surgery while their hearts stay the same, and their suffering just moves to a new location." Then he said something that stayed with her forever. "Your face," he told her, "is like a daily report card from your inner life. You do not need a mystic to read it. If you are willing to see, it will tell you where you are holding on, where you are numb, where you are alive, and where you are already half dead. If you want to heal, look there." Their meeting was brief. They parted without exchanging contact information. To anyone else, it might have looked like a random conversation with a stranger, but for her, it was the first time someone had linked her possible tumor, her long emotional history, and the expression on her face into a single, coherent picture. She still went ahead with further testing. She consulted doctors, weighed options. Thankfully, the final diagnosis indicated that her situation, while serious, was still at a stage where there were choices and hope. But along with the medical path, she began a second path, the path of inner observation and self-minded healing. At home, she took a notebook and wrote on the first page, "Things I have never allowed myself to say." The list was longer than she expected. It included sentences like, "I was lonely even when I was married. I am angry that I always had to be the strong one. I feel like my needs never mattered. I am terrified of being abandoned." Each time she wrote one, it felt like loosening a tight knot in her chest by a fraction. She also began a simple daily practice. Every night, she would sit in front of the mirror, not to adjust her appearance, but to look into her own eyes for a few minutes. At first, it was uncomfortable. She wanted to glance away, to criticize her skin, to judge her wrinkles. Instead, she tried to look with the kind of gaze that the old man in the hospital had used: steady, kind, curious. "What are you carrying today?" she would ask inwardly. "Where are you hurting? Where are you holding back?" Sometimes she saw nothing but fatigue. Sometimes she suddenly recognized a flash of old resentment or grief hiding behind her smiles. The more she practiced, the more she could feel a connection between the expression on her face and the sensations in her body. When her mouth was set in a tight line, she often felt a knot under her collarbones. When her brow was deeply furrowed, her stomach was usually clenched too. She also started learning basic relaxation and breathing techniques, not because they were trendy, but because she could now feel in her own muscles how often she held her breath in the middle of a stressful thought. Alongside this inner work, she listened to teachings about karma and cause and effect. She heard again and again that nothing in our experience is completely random. The way we habitually react to pain, the way we cling or avoid, the way we speak or stay silent, all of these plant seeds. Those seeds grow into patterns in the mind, in relationships, and eventually in the body. This did not mean she blamed herself for getting sick. It meant she took responsibility for what she could change. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" in a victim tone, she began to ask, "What is this trying to show me? What patterns in me is this crisis bringing to the surface?" As months passed, her medical condition stabilized under treatment. But something even more interesting was happening. Her colleagues began to comment that you look different lately, not in the sense of suddenly looking younger or more glamorous, but in the sense that there was a new softness in her gaze, a new honesty in her expressions. The lines on her forehead did not vanish, but they no longer looked frozen. When she smiled, it reached her eyes more often. When she was sad, she was more willing to show it instead of masking it with a tight grin. One day, while washing her face, she caught her reflection from an unexpected angle and felt, for the first time in a long while, a kind of affection instead of criticism. "This face," she thought, "has carried me through so much." At that moment, she understood on a deeper level something that had once sounded like a slogan: the idea that the face is shaped by the heart, not overnight, not magically, but gradually, almost imperceptibly, as one way of being accumulates into visible form. This is the real meaning of appearance follows the mind. It does not mean that specific wrinkles always equals specific fates. Like if your nose is like this, you will be rich, or if your chin is like that, you will be widowed. Those sensational promises belong more to superstition and entertainment than to genuine wisdom. What it does mean is this: the emotional climate you live in day after day leaves traces. Long-term anger tends to gather between the brows, in a certain sharpness of the eyes, in a tight jaw. Chronic fear often shows in darting eyes, in a habit of flinching, in a perpetual tension around the mouth. Deep sadness that has never been grieved often appears in a downward pull of the eyelids, a heaviness under the eyes, a collapsed chest. On the other hand, people who, over years, cultivate gratitude, kindness, and acceptance often develop a different kind of face. Their skin may still wrinkle, they still age, but there is a warmth in the eyes that no cream can create, a natural curve at the corners of the mouth that does not feel forced. When they walk into a room, you may feel inexplicably relaxed, even if their features are not conventionally perfect. So, when someone asks, "Can you see a real practitioner?" at a glance, the most honest answer is you can sometimes sense a long-practiced heart through the face, but only if you are not obsessed with superficial details. A person can wear robes, beads, carry scriptures, speak spiritual jargon, and still have a face that radiates tension, aggression, or vanity. Another person can wear plain clothes, work an ordinary job, and yet their gaze is steady, open, humble, and quietly joyful. True practice tends to make a person's presence feel more spacious. Their face is less about fixed masks and more about responsiveness. They can be serious without being hard, firm without being cruel, playful without being childish. When they look at you, you feel seen, not judged or used. Can this be fate? Only temporarily. Someone can train themselves to smile in a certain way, to soften their eyes in a certain way. But over time, when they are tired, stressed, or alone, their real patterns will show. This is why the wisest approach is not to train yourself to look spiritual, but to actually practice. Meditation, self-inquiry, honest reflection, compassionate action, all of these gradually shift your inner landscape. As that landscape changes, your face follows naturally. Now, at this point, some people get scared. They think, "Oh no, my face already shows all my mistakes and negative emotions." Am I doomed? Absolutely not. The same law that made your face what it is now can make it. Just as unprocessed pain carved lines of bitterness, conscious processing can soften them. Just as years of forced politeness created a stiff smile, years of genuine connection can bring back a real one. Think of your face as clay that has been dried in certain shapes but can still be moistened and reshaped over time. It will never go back to the smoothness of a baby, but that is not the goal. The goal is to let it become the honest, gentle face of someone who has lived, learned, and opened, rather than the closed, armored face of someone who has merely survived. How do you begin this reshaping? One way is exactly what Anna did: turn the light inward. Instead of only using mirrors to adjust your surface, use them occasionally to investigate your inner patterns. You can try a simple exercise. Sit in front of a mirror in a quiet room. Relax your posture as much as you can. At first, let your face do whatever it habitually does. Maybe you are frowning without noticing. Maybe your jaw is clenched. Maybe your lips are pressed together. Then, very gently, ask yourself, if this expression could speak, what would it say? Maybe your tense brow says, I am always anticipating the next problem. Maybe your tight lips say, there are so many things I never say. Maybe your sad eyes say, I am tired of pretending. I am fine. Write down whatever answers come, without judging them. This is not about fixing anything yet. It is about finally listening. From a spiritual point of view, this kind of honest listening is already practice. It is already a form of meditation, staying with your actual experience instead of distracting yourself. Another layer is to observe your face in different emotional states. What happens to your features when you are genuinely happy, not just politely amused? What happens when you are angry, but being honest about it instead of pushing it down? What happens when you are deeply moved by something beautiful or compassionate? Over time, you will notice that some expressions feel surprisingly unfamiliar. Many people realize they almost never let themselves relax fully, so they do not even know what their own relaxed face looks like. Others realize they have not cried properly in years, so they have never seen themselves with open grief, only with controlled, suppressed sadness. Bringing awareness to this is powerful. It gives you a choice. When tension rises, and you see your face go into its usual shape, you can pause and ask, is this the only way I can meet this moment? Sometimes simply dropping your shoulders, softening your jaw, and breathing into your chest can interrupt a familiar chain of anger or anxiety. Physically, this affects your nervous system. Emotionally, it gives you a new experience of yourself. Energetically, if you like that language, it allows stuck patterns to start moving. Let us tie this back to the idea of karma. Karma is not a cosmic punishment system. It is simply the law that actions have consequences. Thoughts, words, and deeds repeated over and over become habits. Habits shape character. Character shapes choices. Choices shape experiences. Experiences feed back into thoughts. It is a circle. Your face is one of the places where that circle becomes visible. It is like the outer edge of a spiral that began in your mind. If you have spent 20 years reacting to difficulty with bitterness, that bitterness will show somewhere, maybe around the mouth, in the eyes, in the way your whole face tightens when the topic of other people's success comes up. If you have spent 20 years practicing gratitude even in small ways, that gratitude will also show somewhere, not as a false smile, but as a certain brightness in the gaze, a lack of constant complaint etched into your features. The beautiful part is that every time you choose to respond differently now, you are changing the spiral. You are creating new karma, even if the old lines remain for a while. New subtle lines of relaxation, kindness, and acceptance start to form. Now let us touch on a question that often comes up when people hear these ideas. Is it possible to diagnose illness just by looking at the face? Traditional medical systems have long used the face as one of many diagnostic tools. Practitioners might look at the sill of the skin, the brightness of the eyes, the tension of the jaw, the puffiness under the eyes, the color of the lips. These signs can hint at imbalances in different organs or systems. But even the best traditional practitioners do not rely on the face alone. They listen to the voice, feel the pulse, ask detailed questions, and consider lifestyle and emotional patterns. In the same way, when it comes to reading the connection between emotions, karma, and the body, the face is a useful window, not the whole house. So no, you cannot say, this person will definitely get this disease at that age because their face looks like this. That kind of claim belongs more in dramatic stories than in responsible practice. What you can say is something like, this person's face shows long-term unexpressed anger and chronic exhaustion. If they keep living this way, their body will probably suffer more and more. And you can say to yourself, when you see your own tired, tight face, if I keep doing life like this, what am I asking my body to carry? Do I want to keep writing this story into my skin? That question is not about vanity. It is about compassion for your own organs, your own cells, your own heart. You might have noticed that as people age, some faces become softer, more luminous. Even as wrinkles deepen, others become twisted, tense, or dull. The first group often includes people who have faced their pain, forgiven, let go, and turned toward service. The second often includes people who have never forgiven, who hold grudges, who cling to their victim story or their superiority. From a distance, you may not know the details, but you can feel the difference. When you meet an older person whose eyes are clear and kind, whose presence feels gentle but strong, whose face relaxes other people, you are likely in the presence of someone who has practiced, even if they never read a spiritual book. When you meet someone who has spent decades honing their resentment, their face often makes people uncomfortable even before they speak. So yes, in that sense, you can sometimes see a practitioner from their face, not a perfect one, not a saint, but someone who has actually walked the path of inner work, as opposed to just talking about it. But again, the wisest way to use this understanding is not to rank people in your mind. It is to turn the mirror back on yourself and ask, what kind of practitioner is my face showing me that I am becoming? At this point, you might remember times in your own life when your face changed noticeably after a big inner shift. Maybe you went through a period of intense grief, and for a while, your eyes were dull. Then, after months of crying, therapy, meditation, or prayer, there was a day when you looked in the mirror and saw a soft light again. Maybe you spent years in a job that drained you, and your face looked like someone always half asleep. Then you changed careers, found work that aligned more with your values, and people started saying, you look so much more alive lately. Maybe you were in a toxic relationship where you had to hide parts of yourself, and your smile became thin and tense. After leaving and doing the difficult work of rebuilding, your smile became wider, more relaxed, more genuine. These stories are not fantasies. They are ordinary miracles, happening quietly around us all the time. So where does self-minus healing come into all of this? Healing does not mean you never go to a doctor. It does not mean you throw away your medication and rely only on positive thinking. That is dangerous and naive. Self-healing means that, alongside whatever professional help you receive, you also take responsibility for the emotional and spiritual dimensions of your illness. You recognize that your body is not a separate enemy, but a loyal messenger, bringing you news about how your inner life is affecting your physical form. In Anna's case, surgery and medical care were vital. But if she had gone through all of that while remaining the same person who swallowed every feeling unpretended to be fine, she might have ended up with new symptoms in a few years. By combining external treatment with internal work, admitting her pain, telling the truth, practicing reflection and compassion, she gave her body a different environment to live in. That is self-healing. From a karmic view, this is also how we change destiny, not by trying to erase the seeds we already planted, but by planting new seeds now. We cannot undo the years we spent tightening our faces in anger or fear, but we can decide, from today on, to practice new ways of responding. We cannot go back and stop some of the harmful patterns we lived out in our 20s, but we can decide, in our 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond, to awaken, to learn, to soften, to make amends. When we do that, the map on our face starts to show new roads. As we come to the closing part of this long sharing, I would like to invite you to do a gentle experiment with me. Later today, when you have a little time, go to a mirror in a quiet room, put down your phone, stand or sit comfortably. Look at your face, not with the intention of fixing your hair or checking your skin, but with the intention of meeting yourself. Notice your eyes. Do they look alert, dull, guarded, open? Notice your forehead. Is it tight even when you are not thinking hard? Notice your mouth. Do you feel a habitual tension there? A habit of holding back? Notice your overall impression. Does this face look like someone you would want to sit with and talk to kindly? If painful feelings arise, grief, shame, regret, let them. You do not have to push them away. You can even place a hand gently on your chest and say, quietly, I see you. I know you have been carrying a lot. Then, if you want, you can make a small, real choice. Maybe you decide to let yourself cry later instead of numbing out with constant noise. Maybe you decide to apologize to someone your anger hurt. Maybe you decide to finally start the therapy or spiritual practice you have been postponing. Maybe you decide to forgive yourself for one mistake that has etched itself into your brow for years. Whatever it is, let that choice be your contribution to reshaping the lines of your future face. You do not need to become beautiful according to any outer standard. You do not need to erase all signs of age. A face with lines can be one of the most beautiful things in the world when those lines are carved by love, courage, and a willingness to grow. I would love to hear from you. Have you ever noticed your own face change during different periods of your life? Was there a time when you suddenly realized your eyes looked more tired, more hard, or more alive than before? Have you ever met someone whose face radiated such peace or kindness that you felt they must have done a lot of inner work? Even if you did not know their story, if you feel comfortable, share in the comments. Your experiences might help others see their own faces with more understanding and less judgment. If this long reflection spoke to something in your heart, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment below. That simple support helps this space continue. so more people can explore together the connections between awakening, karma, emotions, self-healing, and the everyday details of our lives. If you want to go even deeper, you are warmly invited to join as a channel member, where we share more stories, practices, and guided reflections to help you soften the knots in your heart and let your true face slowly appear. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. May you have the courage to look honestly at your own face and the kindness to treat what you see as a precious friend, not an enemy. May the patterns of anger, fear, and grief that have been carved there slowly soften, and may new lines of wisdom, compassion, and quiet joy appear with time. May anyone who meets your gaze feel, even for a moment, that they are seen by a heart that is learning to awaken. There are moments when you see something, and your heart simply whispers, "This one is meant for me." Bracelet carries more than beads. It carries intention, protection, and quiet strength. Something to guide your thoughts and keep your spirit steady. If you felt that gentle pull toward any of the bracelets shown, the purchase link is waiting in the description, and the full collection is displayed on our channel store. Follow your intuition. It rarely leads you wrong.